Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world watching this video. I wanted to make a series called Grading or Color Grading the Community just because I feel like this panel has been so amazing to so many people that I want to share that same kind of passion of color grading that I've seen other people do with you, the viewer, watching. For those of you who might not even have the panel, who are interested in seeing how it works on different genres of photography, or for people who already have the panel and want to see different ways in which we can color grade images. In the group, I posted a link to people to submit images in which they would like to see color graded or as demo files. And we had a lot of people actually submit some really beautiful work that I want to play with and just give my thoughts and insights into how it would look and the direction that I could probably go in. And that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to work on about 5 or 6 different images based on the number of images that people submitted in different genres and go from there. So the first one we have here is by Josef Castro, and he is incredible when it comes to beauty work because this shot is spectacular. I love the way the tones and the makeup really set the tone for the kind of direction that I want to go in. It's nice and orange, and the hair's obviously in the same kind of palette as well as the lips. So there's a lot we could do with this particular image. And I want to start by actually just going in there. Now, before I begin, if you're completely new to Infinite Color, just check out infinitecolorpanel.com and you can see a ton of educational videos on how to use it and all of that. So this is going to be more about how I use it and the direction that I'm going to take these images. And it's so much fun because I have no idea what's going to happen until I actually start working on it. So the first thing that I normally do is jump straight ahead into create and keep light on. I'm gonna see what happens and then go from there. So let me run a few different looks here. All right, I think, okay, wow, that was easy. I like that a lot. This is really, really clean. I love the fact that, you know, the hair got richer. I love the shadows, the way it played with them. I love the highlights and how the skin got just really nice and golden. It's so beautiful. It matches the eyes and it matches the lips, and I think this is pretty much what I wanted. Let me take a look at some of these layers here. So the gradient map itself is really integral into the direction of it. The color lookup added that pop that I think looks really clean. I know pop is overused a lot. Selective color also plays a nice role in balancing it out, and color balance as well does a great job of shifting a lot of colors. So I think this look that it created is extremely beautiful. I'm probably also going to go ahead and save this because you know what, why not, right? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and call this one, drag it in here. No, actually, let's rename this. I'll call it inspired by the photographer Joseph or Joseph. If I misspelled your or missaid your name, I'm really sorry. All right, there we go. I'm going to drag that here. And that way I have that look should I ever need it. I'll delete that. If I want to bring that back in, I'll just hold Option and drag it from libraries back to my layer palette. Voila. So I think this is what I want to keep. That was easy. Easy peasy. Pretty much what we're trying to do here. All right, so the next image we have here is from Anthony Passad, who I think this is an image that's really interesting because the background's red. I haven't dealt with a lot of images with a variety of backdrops, so I'm curious to see what happens. So let's get into it. I'm going to go through these layers here. Question that I get asked is, how do I know what I'm looking for? And for me, what I typically will do is I'll go through a few of them and see what stands out to me before going any further. Because to be honest, most of the time, I don't really know what I want until I see it. And then I'm like, well, that looks pretty good. I think I'm going to stick with that. And why do I like it? Then I start analyzing, you know, what is it about that particular look that speaks to me? Why is it so, you know, a particular color palette, and why do I like this? This, for example, is something that I do like. And I think the reason for that, and I'll tell you why, is when I turn it on and on, I realize that the base image is actually quite magenta. I prefer warmer tones, personally speaking, and considering the fact that the background's red, I want a little bit more, you know, yellows and reds coming through the image just to balance it out. And I can tell that the whites are also a bit green. And the way it complements each other, from what I'm seeing, is really beautiful. And I like that. So I might keep that, but maybe about, let's bring the opacity down, like 68% looks really good. That balance is beautiful. Let me rename that to color stack 1, so CS1. And then I'm going to run this again. But this time, the next stack that it generates, I'm going to bring it down to say maybe like 30% or so, and then re-roll it. So every time that I re-roll it, it's only going to add a little hint of something. And I love these little hints of something because I'm guiding the panel to kind of where I want to go. Let's see here. So it's very subtle. It goes from red to more of a greenish kind of cooler tone. I think that cools it down nicely, adds a nice balance because the shadows start cooling down here. I like that a lot. In fact, you know what we could do? Let me just turn this background. I'm going to right click on this background here and turn it black so that the colors stand out a little bit more. I think that's beautiful. So here we go. So we have the second set here. And that looks really great. So let me go and call this CS2. And I'll put these two together and call it Anthony Passant. And then I'll go back to my libraries and I'll drag that here. And then it allows me to stack or save really complex color grids. So if I delete that, in the future I have a set of images, I can just option and drag it back. And suddenly I have all my layers there, which is so helpful. Or I can right click and just say place layers. Great. The next image I have is from Dan Fan, who I retouched just a little bit because this image was really cool. And I actually played with this quite a bit in the beginning and I loved everything that it generates. So this will be pretty easy as well. I might actually start with Harmonize. Let's see what happens with Harmonize. It's going to generate these highlight, shadow, and midtone colors. It's going to analyze the highlights. And then it creates, oh, that's beautiful. Okay, cool. You can see how the Harmonize itself generated blue shadows because the highlights are obviously white. So it creates a complementary color scheme here. The best part about this is because the shadows are blue, I can override them. So maybe if I wanted to, I can do more of like a cyanish, look, or any specific color that I want. And what's interesting is what happens here is that the harmonize function works with that already strong cast. So it doesn't override it completely. If I wanted to, I could just bring it all the way to 100, which I wouldn't. But you could. I'm going to go back in Command Z and keep that blue. I like that blue a lot. Maybe I'll take my shadows and just tone that down a little bit like that. And then I'll just call this color 1. I'll do it again, but this time I'm just going to re-roll it and hit create. Let's see, that's really nice and punchy. It tones down the colors, it harmonizes a lot of it, and it adds this punch, and I like a lot. I love the way it's treating the skin. It's taking away that magenta cast. I might bring that down just a touch. There we go. I think that looks beautiful. So I'm going to turn these on and off, and we go from before to after. You can see where I retouched it a little bit, but you get an idea of what the color grade is. I think that looks beautiful. And obviously, if you want to go more intense, you can. There's a ton of capabilities in doing so, but it gives you a good option. Let me do that one more time because I'm so curious what's going to happen. Like I said, this one is an image that could go so many different ways. I love this one too because it makes everything a little bit more muted neons, and it binds the subject with the background a little bit better too. All right, you know what? I think I'm going to keep a little bit of this as well. I like that a lot. Okay, C3. Again, personal preference, but I'm just giving you different reasons on what I think. Dan Fan, shout out to him. He's one of my local friends as well From Houston, great photographer and beautiful image. I love this shot. All right, so the next image we're going to do here is by Jamie Taylor, who's such a great portrait photographer. And this image is going to be interesting because we have, nice blues and nice skin tones. Let's see what happens. Let's just play with it. Let's go different colors and light. That's crazy. This is so fascinating. I think that looks really good too, because it matches the colors from the rose and bleeds it into the skin. It makes this nice slate color in the dress in the background. That's kind of cool. Let me save that, okay? Let me put that as C1. I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to do another one so I can compare different variations. Let's see here. That's awesome. I love the way it added that contrast and depth. And again, it went from having yellow skin to more of a beige tone. I didn't notice that. I didn't notice the skin was actually quite yellow in comparison. But I like this a lot better. Let me, for the sake of actually comparing two of them, I'm going to call this C2. Turn this on and this one on. So comparing these two, I think I'm liking a mix of both. So I'll do the same. I think C1 will keep it to 50% opacity, and C2 I'll keep it at 50% opacity. So now we have a mix of both. And just like that, I think this is a beautiful color grade. I just think that's extremely beautiful. And then from there, I can also go into, say, C2. I can add a curve, because in case I want to make it a little bit more brighter, I can say, let's brighten the highlights. And suddenly I'm able to brighten the highlights. I think that's great. Not that I'm biased towards myself or anything, but I really like that. Maybe I can drop the shadows just a bit too. That's perfect. You know what? I'm really happy with that. I love the way that everything just flows and the colors are nice and the luminosity is beautiful. It just shifts that tone and just, I don't know, it's sometimes it's unexplainable, especially seeing all this. Let's go to another one by Jamie Taylor as well. This one, I'm going to try and nail it in one go. As in, let's see if I can nail it without actually modifying the layers. All right, that's great. Okay, that's pretty cool. I am really particular to magenta tones, especially because it just looks regal when you deal with dresses like this as well, that has a nice pink undertone to it. I like that a lot. And I'll be honest with you, it's really difficult to nail something in one go. Let me see what else there is. Let me just name that C1. I'll hide that for a second, and I'm going to do that again and again, just to go through these different tones so you can see the variations. And in studio shots, you're able to get a lot of variations. And you can see the looks that it generates is almost literally infinite. I don't even know where I would stop. And I think I'm going to quit while I'm ahead and stop at the first one because they are all really cool. I like that one. Okay, great. And let's see, the last one we have here is Angie Lewis with this beautiful couple right here, mother and daughter maybe, perhaps. But I like this example because it gives me an idea what could happen with studio shots like this, with neutral gray backdrops, well lit shots, full color, not desaturated. Let's see what happens. All right, there we go again. So it creates a nice cool tone in the background to match the reds in the clothes. I like that a lot. And obviously you can also mask out any of the skin if you wanted to by adding a mask to the folder. That's beautiful. Let me call that C1. And again, because of complementary tones, I think it looks great. This is also really handy because it gives you an idea of what's possible with this panel in a variety of situations. And I just want people to actually, get a good look at it. That's kind of cool too. Let me bring this one down actually to 50% and then keep on going. That's interesting. You know what? I think I liked the original one the most. It just added this pop. It added this contrast. It added this range of color. And again, if you want to tone it down or change anything, you have all these layers for you. And all you need to do is click on and off on these layers, and you can see the direction that each layer adds to the final grade of this image. So perhaps if I click on color balance and I realize that, you know what, color balance is making it too cool. I want it to be warm. Well, I'm just going to turn it off and it's good to go. Or if I decide that I want a little bit less, I can just go in and click on color balance and then change what I want to change. So maybe I don't want the cyans too cyany, or if I want more, magentas in the midtones, I can do that. I can do whatever I want. But I don't think I want to override it too much because I did like what it created. So that looks pretty good. Add a little bit more warmth in there into the shadows, into the midtones, I should say. And that looks great. So there you have it. Here's a good look into my first color grading the community video. If you liked it and want to see more, I'd love to hear your comments. This is really exciting for me to play with, to give an idea of what happens. And if you're a landscape photographer or a food photographer or any other kind of photographer, I'd love to see your images as well for the next time. And be sure to join our group at infinitecoloredpanel.com. I'm sorry, that's the website, but the group is Infinite Color Panel on Facebook. I also have Instagram at Infinite Color Panel. And just go to the website if you want to see more videos, education, before and afters, and, different things like that. So see you next time, and I can't wait to see what you guys create.